Welcome again to another wonderful chapter in the book titled The Endangered Black Family in the 21st Century. Chapter 4, Section 3, the conclusion of Pimpin' Ain't Easy. And this book is dedicated and written by Nathan and Julian Hare. Nathan Hare, a PhD. Julian Hare, Ed doctor. So I believe she's a PhD as well. And the book is focusing on the coping with the unsexualization and the coming extinction of the black race. I am Zero Ends here. And if you're not familiar with all the other podcasts / live streams of this show, go back. There was enough said in this book. I think this book, normally if people check the price on this now, it's pretty up there. Pretty expensive, I believe. The reason why, I have no idea, to be honest with y'all, why that is. But, better yet, you know what I could do? I'll do something better for y'all. 200 pages. It's actually ranging right now in the 200 price range. If you're able to find the digital copy, if there is in existence, I would go that route. But normally with Zero Ends channel, we do most of the work for you in regards to the reading aspects of it. So it's not gonna get any easier to purchase this book. I don't see any affordable price. But like always, most people should make the conscious effort to find books and read as possible. Nonetheless, it would be a good if you can get this book in your library. It is pretty lengthy. It's not lengthy, it's old. This book came out in 1984, so what was read and written back then still holds weight today. So let's take a look now. Before I start, I'll give 1 or 2 minutes before anything. So let me do this. So be patient. I'll be right back. Sorry guys, I have so much things open up. I'm trying to find the actual stream. Okay, fine. Okay, we can begin. This is the last section of chapter 3. Last section of chapter 4, section 3. And this is titled Pimpin' Ain't Easy. Let us start. Let me pull up my thing. And this is continuing, and in quote saying, "What's good about the black woman? She's the backbone of the black man. She has the, initiative to do something about herself. Or the initiative to do something about herself. She really is the backbone. A lot of the brothers think when you say the black woman is the black man's backbone, he feels there is a deficiency in him, but it's not. She has helpmates. She is his initiative, his strength. When he feels down and out, I know it works with me. When I feel down and out and depressed, I don't go to no psychiatrist. I go to my woman." Thus, the black woman is honored for the strength and support of the black female admirees, the black male for his sexual qualities and his sex appeal. Otherwise, she has only criticism to make because of his neglect of the family, his mistreatment of the black female in her views, or his alleged attraction to the white female. However, there is some tribute paid to his stamina in the face of the tremendous social obstacle confronting him. Periodically, the black female admires her qualities of strength and independence, while the black male is vague or ambiguous in describing any good qualities the black male might possess. He is quicker to acknowledge a black male dependency on the black female. And this was, quote, "She knows what you have been through and what you are going through, and is just able to understand, but yet she won't let you cry, won't let you take the easy way out. Like I know my mother, many a day, my father would be drunk and my mother would make him get up and go to work before she left. And if he had his way, I think he would forget work. But my mother, she told him, you know you must go. Man." While the black female is inclined to discount the existence of an ideal mate, the black male readily regards the ideal black females as supportive, psychologically and politically. As sharing the name or sharing the same values, she is not to be domineering or castrating, but rather feminine and gentle. And yet it is sometimes desirable that she be strong and supportive. Thus the black male must yield to his ambivalence in the conflict between where was I? Hold on, so I lost my mark. 1 second, guys. Thus, the black male must yield to his ambivalence in the conflict between subjective preference and situational demand. This ambivalence is often reflected by the black female, who overwhelmingly regards the ideal female as understanding and respectful of her mate, support, and patience, strong and devoted to her family while remaining or often fidgeting femininity and dependency. She too sees the typical black female as strong and in some ways superior, and necessitating her role as the black backbone of the black family and the social economic support or supplement of the black male. Sometimes this leads to a psychosocial fusion in which she regards herself as a role duality, a father and a mother. A male and a female literally assumes the male role, asking to describe herself to point, or what they call 0.00335, replied, and this is what he says: "I don't know. I'm not a great housekeeper. A lot of things you would think a man would do. Paint. I do that. I do the painting, and I'm able to work on and occasionally problems of my car. When something breaks down, I'm always there with a screwdriver, which is a tool, to fix it. So I try a lot of things. I was by myself for a while. I didn't have no man around, so I had to do it by myself. Still, when my husband around, he doesn't do a lot of things. I have to do them. I don't know. I wouldn't say I'm perfect, but I try my best. Now, I use a male voice because, you know, some sisters sometimes can have a masculine tone. But to find in this little section that she has to do that by herself, you could tell where a society's gone, especially a certain race of people that, especially in regards to the male aspects, are becoming neutered. I've been hearing stories of women so strong that they feel they play both roles. No other human being does this, but in the society when we're talking about black people, anything is pretty much possible, unfortunately. But nonetheless, in the literature, you see this today in society in regards to gender roles between man and woman. Women are doing just as much as the roles of a man, including the upbringings of children. Let's continue. The black female may not only be perceived as stronger than the black male, some are men in respect, or the black woman has a hard time being a wife to a man. She tends to become the mother. Others may constantly arrive to humiliate the black man. One told of feeling powerful and in control whoever she could make a man experience an orgasm while she did not. Some attributes of the black female independence to a generational transmission of the intersexual style and set on values know of 0.0018F who has a master's degree but is married to a man who didn't or did not attend college. Put it this way, and there's another quote, but 1 second, we're gonna pause. And this is what the person says. I'm not saying this right, but I think we are aggressively and dominating and demurring. But I think it's because we had to be like our mothers before us and our grandmothers and our great-great-grandmothers had to. You pick up from them because a mother tells their daughter, you know he's not going to be able to support you and you're going to go and have to get you an education. I just add that, sorry. And help him. And you know you're going to have to do this and you know you're going to have to do that because you know how these mans are, or what they call these mans are. Doesn't that sound familiar to a lot of females that make content on YouTube? I hear this from a lot of black females. And this was going on during the 80s. Imagine that. Let's continue. Thus, the black woman is trained to be independent and make it on her own. Often gives the educational advantage, while the white woman compares and geared more to the expectations of acquiring masculine support. It is in this regard that the black female can feel superior to the white woman, and thus the black woman has always considered themselves superior to the white woman. Black women have been able to envy white women. Their looks, their easy life, the attention they seem to get from their men. They could fear them for the economic control that have had over black women's lives. But black women have found it impossible to respect white women. I mean, they never had what black men have had for white men. A feeling of awe at their accomplishments. Although the black female in our sample recent and the white female predestal in one sense, they took consolation in the fact that being placed on a pedestal has left the white female weak and gullible, grueling to men, particularly whenever she takes up with the black male in pursuit of the savage taboo and the super stud, as they frequently describe it. Super stud, get that? And as we pause, as y'all know, with the super stud, a lot of black men, when they interact or engage in interracial relationships with non-black women, i.e. European women, Caucasian women in America, usually Caucasian women view black men as that buck that could tear that back up, blow their backs out. The mandingo, the fear of the BBC that their fathers and their forefathers have told and gave their own daughters to stay away from. They have known this for centuries. So even today, nothing has changed in the past 150 years. Let's continue. At the same time, the white woman is thought to be rather morally deprived and sexually perverted, while the black woman is believed to be strong and respectful of her female virtues. Not today. That was probably back in the 50s, but it's a totally different atmosphere, a totally different black woman in the 21st century. She is likely to hold a contempt for the white female regarding her as a pampered and immaculate by her position on a sexual pedestal, presenting a submissive front to men, while in reality she is believed evil, vicious, and cunning. Thus, the black female is more contemptuous of both the white female and the white male than is the black male. In describing themselves as individual, black females most often conceive of themselves in a favorable light and offensive or effective native or effective native and sexually contempt intelligence or even a good cook. They typically adhere to traditional values of femininity, and even when expressing negative conceptions of themselves, tending to acknowledge black male criticism. If too domineering or bitchy, She felt depressed, frustrated, nervous, and insecure without a satisfactory mate or unattractive one, indicating that she has now been driven to violence with the men in her life. The black male response almost unanimously complains that the primary problems in getting along with a black woman resolves around the sexual power struggle, particularly decision makings and the black man's job and career activities. He feels obstructed in the efforts to be his own man, to take business and financial risks, feeling pressured and excessively criticized for his failure with pushing towards a 9-to-5 employment pattern. In addition, the black woman may use sex as a weapon in her efforts to force him to what they call comply or to please her, and many lack respect for him. Here's the black female response generally confirms the views of black males. Let's pause right there and let's examine that. As y'all know, in the society we live in today, a lot of black males have many potentials. A lot of them have the will and the goals to pursue and try things that hinders them in the society with her or with his female counterpart. And reason for that is because a lot of women have an affinity for actual male leadership. They're not willing to give or allow her mate to really make his decision for the better interests of not only the relationship but to the family itself. Now, this could be done, or this has been shown because of training. I think one of the problems with black male and female relationships is a trust factor, the willingness to play the roles at least. And sex is a very strong tool that the black female use in snagging and controlling a good percentage of the male population here in the West we call America. And if you know, most men that are, or what they call means, are doing very well, are not always swayed by sex. To popular beliefs, people don't know that. But as y'all know, the men that showed the more control have a better sense of not only respect but also a way of exuding his actual masculinity. I think sex is a weapon today, and as always has been for centuries. But in regards to the African male and African female, or what I like to call ADOS here in America, that is not used for the benefit, is used as a hindrance to further stifle progress for black people generally. Now, I'm not saying sex is not important. Sex is a necessity to not only for energy purpose, but also the creation of life between two people. But in a society that over-sexualizes people, and not only people, but also younger, actually children now, because we're now on a more dangerous climate here, is that it is used to keep people under what they call under somebody's tutelage. So, but nonetheless, it is an important factor, and I think one of the remedies to correct this is that most black males have to find ways to self-control and get control of the sexual aspect in their pursuit of purpose. I think one of the few things that's lacking also is not enough of our people are taking the necessary risk, especially men, in regards to try something to get the best outcomes. And if you're in a relationship with a woman and she's not respecting of you taking risks to better not only himself but what he'll bring better to the family, then obviously the next step is to move on. But let's move on to the reading. Let's continue. I'm not gonna go any more further than that. In depicting her own difficulties in getting along with the black male, on the other hand, the black female responds and voice complaints largely concerning or centering on the black male's inability to accomplish their masculine ideals. He is too weak and unaggressive, unsuccessful, and undependable in matters of finance and unavailable to carry his load. He feels beaten down by the system and his negative self-feeling by the sense of failure, and he is inclined to bring his frustrations home. There he unwraps his sensitive and fragile ego and feeling threatened by his mate. At the same time, he fears being close to her, often exhibits hostility as a defense and what they call disdain to communicate and talk out problems with her. His unwarranted jealousy may give rise to fighting or what they call cavity violence or cataract violence. The black male concedes to feeling of inadequacy and defeatism, but gives priority as a problem in the conflict to the fighting and violence that may have grown out of the dilemma of wanting to resign superior in relationships according to society decease or decree, while being implied to looking up to the black female. Thus, for the duration of their lives, many black women must bear a heavy burden of male frustration and rage through physical abuse, what they call distortion, rejection of their femininity, and generally appearance. Having a job provides relief for her stomach, but not for her soul. For a black woman, successful coping with the economic problems, and we might know, or we might throw in the education problem, enhancing her rejection by black men, or else invites acceptance in the form of exploitation. Steinmeier, in his attempt to protect and free the black woman and himself, the black man further degrades her. She doubtly powerlessness and vengeful insult his manhood by whatever means at her disposal. Thus are many black men and women hateful partners in a what they call a harving dancing. The black male is believed to be resistant to thwart masculinity identity and a concomitant fear of femininity, which leads him and the black female complaining to a significant disdain for tenderness. This lack of tenderness may take two forms: a prosperity for violence and a what they call disdain for what they call interpersonal communication. This problem of what they call communication has been documented, for instance, by Blood and Wolves in a study of Negro whites differences in blue collar marriages in a northern metropolis. Our studies, what they call, corroborate this finding for both middle and lower class. However, neither black wives nor black husbands are as likely as whites to tell their spouse about their troubles after a bad day, for instance. This low level of communication is doubtly significant because of the necessities for black men to rely more on their personality to compensate for inferior status and to achieve distinctions in the black world. Add to this is importance as a what they call Cretan of mate selection, or criterion of mate selection by the black female. Nevertheless, the ability to command love or respect from a woman may depend more on power, so-called status, than on personal and physical qualities. However, insomuch as the black male is blocked from sources of power and social status, the black female will be moved to see the good qualities of the black male as centering on the compensatory characteristic of personal and sexual charm. For the black male, sexual prowess has often been the means by which he has asserted and attained his masculinity. Contrary to the black male aberration, for the black woman does not give priority to her femininity. Sexual object qualities. This is in spite of the fact that the black woman historically has been defined mainly as a sexual object, and is further documentation for the fact that along with the emasculization of the black male went and the defeminization of the black female, nor is the importance of compensatory sexuality alienates to an introtherapeutic or intropsychic or psychoanalytic interpersonation or interpretation. Benner has suggested that to the slightly older child, the penis and its activity is used, or at least conceived of use in fantasy, as a weapon and a means of destruction, respectively. Analysis has further down the weapon used in games and fantasies involving spears, arrows, guns, and etc. may represent the penis in unconscious thought. It appears, therefore, that in his fantasy, he is unconsciously destroying his enemies with his powerful and dangerous penis. I'm going to have to talk about after that. This possibility is widely acknowledged by black men who purports to get back at the white men, and their sexual encounters with the white woman, and a black rapist may see his act as insurrectionary. However, the importance of sex as a weapon in the black male quest for psychosocial masculinity may have its strongest rationalization in his relations with the black female. Before this wraps up, let me say this. The only reason why the black male feels like that and thinks like that, because he is not willing to do what is necessary to regain and take power again. Using your phallus, or what they call penis in this book, is not really a form of power in the modern or existing world today. The only thing sex from black people, especially black men, will get you is possibly babies and maybe some sexually transmitted disease. But in regards to actual attained power and getting back at the man that's running things here in the West we call America, no, it's not really doing that. Matter of fact, I go a step further. With the miscegenation laws that was struck down back in 1967, the next year, now that there is no crime to engage in interracial activity, the black man's penis has not really gave him no power. It's actually hindering and stifled his ability to even attain power. Power is only attained once you are able to dominate and control the environment. Having the access to have intercourse with other race women is not a form of power. It's never succeeded and has never shown the representation of a person throughout history gaining power by just screwing a bunch of women. You're not going to see that. And you're never going to see it. You're not going to see it in the 21st century. And possibly not going to see any other century moving forward in the present time. So let's wrap this up. But if the black male is denied institutionalized social and political instruments of masculinity and they imply to compensate through sexual attraction and relate activities, the black female similarly is forced to regard these compensatory masculine traits more highly than otherwise would be the case. Thus, while recognizing herself as aggressive, she may shun men who permit her to dominate them. No, what they call 002 if or 1F, and it states, I just don't like somebody that I can manipulate. I want somebody who has some backbone. Nobody likes a sponge. Or no 0038F. And he quotes, I don't want him to nice, cause I be testing him a lot. And just nice so I could deal with him, cause I can't deal with a too nice man. A nice man that really upsets me. I mean, a real nice man. Similarly, the black female may come to value and the sexual, and because of its relative prominence as an asset along her, the source of males. And that ends Pimpin' Ain't Easy chapter. For conclusion parts of this is that there was a lot said. Things that caught my attention is not only the views of how we view each other as mates is always in regards to a power dynamic, and it always leads down to the sexual aspects. One has to dominate the other by how much sex each other gives each other. What I mean by this, only time when the black man and black female really gets enough of some case of ease is in the bedroom. Unfortunately. As you know, we look at ourselves as a people as sex objects. And thus, you don't have no respect for anybody that you feel you have to constantly dominate sexually. And as you know, the role of the pimp and the whore is always go by how much the pimp has the influence. What he says to his whore, to control his whore mentally. And yes, the pimps do have sex with his products like any other man. But nonetheless, as you know, when it comes to the black male, he only exudes and has only purpose to really compete, and that is in the bedroom. But in regards to a greater dynamic in regards to other groups of men, is non-existent, and the reason why, because he's not trained to do so. Like any human being, you have to learn what the benefits and what is that you should be able to do. Today in the Western world, there are more women that are hustling, not entrepreneurs, hustling, and have this so-called education, which the education they have is not really that big. It's usually normally something small. It's not something in the bigger industries, but a system allows to empower women because women are easy vessels. They're the ones that have to come back and see greater men that set forth for their indulgements to nest in this environment. Men have to sit there, what they call conquer and impose an environment. And because of this, the only thing you see moving on in the 21st century in regards to the children that come from two black parents and raised by one parent, mostly the woman, you're only going to see the further effeminization and demasculization of the boys that will become men in the near future. So thank you for listening to this reading. If you missed anything that was read, go back to previous chapters of this book through the podcast / YouTube channel. The next chapter will be chapter 5, and I think it will be chapter 5, and it'll probably be 2 sections of chapter 5. So thank you again for listening. Until next time, take care.